Here we are with another edition of NSIC Weekly. You've got Tom Frederick and Matt Woodwicki here on your laptop, your phone, your tablet, whatever you're viewing us on. I announce for the University of Sioux Falls, and I'm here because I take direction well. And this guy over there in the corner, my Mr. Northern Son for D2Football.com, he needed a mature, steadying influence to keep him in line. Wouldn't you say that's the case?
Is that how I landed on you?
Yeah. Think of us, watchers, think of us as the Jim Taylor and the Paul Hornung of Northern Sun Conference football. I'm dependable and reliable like Taylor was for Lombardi's Packers. Witt's the golden boy, similar to Hornung, talented as all get out, but frustrating for his coach and his teammates. You like that?
Oh boy,
light dated reference?
Did you spent a little bit of time coming up with that one today, didn't you?
Yeah. You say I don't put any time, energy, or effort into this podcast. I'm trying to show you I live and breathe it.
Well, look, I'm proud of you. Well done.
All right. The final football Saturday of October, big man. Didn't feel much like fall, not where I was at. Pretty mild in the upper Midwest. I was in Wayne, America. That's what it says on the water tower there in the distance.
I see that. Looks like a quiet day in Wayne right there. How was the crowd?
The crowd was pretty good. It was Hall of Fame Day at Bob Cunningham Field. It was a subdued crowd because the Wildcats did not play well, but it was a good crowd. Oh, there's the crew. Yeah,
there you go. Okay.
He's not getting a beard shave until I get a haircut. Well, little does he know I had a little bit of a hair chopped off this weekend. But
yeah, you could. So are you the tallest of the bunch there?
I believe I am the tallest of the bunch, probably the skinniest of the bunch too.
Hey, Berger just caught a stray right there. Okay.
All right. I was busy. Oh, here's the post game. That's Alex Maxim on the left. He picked off one of 4 Nick Bowen passes. Tim Hyatt there in the center. And on the right, you've got Coach Glow and 2 more defenders because the defense carried the day Saturday. That's Isaiah Ward, 0 on the left in that picture. And on the right, one of the team's captains, cornerback Connor Aldridge. They all had great games in that 23-13 win Saturday down in Wayne, America.
Well, my Saturday was a little bit different than yours. I had the 3 TV thing going, and we've numbered them for the future. So when I talk about them, you'll understand what was happening when I had action on screen 2 or 3 or what have you. This is when your game, your noon kick, was at the break. I had flipped on Western Colorado against Mines in a ranked two top 10 teams playing each other in the RMAC. I had Augustana and Mankato top left for a moment, and then I had Northern State and Concordia over there, and ended up being a very busy day at NSIC Weekly headquarters. Ended up flipping between all kinds of games throughout the day. Ended up having a little bit of Ferris State going against Grand Valley later, and Pitt State against UCO. So all kinds of, probably the biggest day of the regular season, Tom. And I was also running our scores page, which was a bundle of fun. But we'll get into that kind of stuff later. Did
you get on the phone with anybody in tech support, or you were smooth sailing?
No, tech support and or my kids were out of town. So I had no one to turn to, Tom. But, well, moving on from how we had things, tell us a little bit about what the home office came up with.
Yeah, as they say, moving right along. The NSIC Players of the Week have a definite Augustana flavor, as you can see. Nick Corner in the NSIC's home office in beautiful downtown Burnsville, Minnesota, revealed that Viking signal caller Gunnar Hensley, the sophomore from Carlsbad, California, he's the Offensive Player of the Week. He picked up his 2nd citation for that honor, 263 yards passing, another 25 on the ground in the Vikings' huge 34-16 win at Mankato. Hensley completed 24 throws, spreading the love around among 8 different receivers, and he tossed 2 touchdowns. On the defensive side of the ball, his teammate, Cade Lynott, the senior linebacker out of Haywarden, nearby here, he had 9 tackles, 1 TFL, an interception, and a PBU. Not a PB&J, but a PBU. as the Vikings limited Mankato to less than 300 yards total offense and just 21 yards rushing. That is very impressive work. But since you and I saw Augustana at South Dakota State well over a month ago, I came away impressed with the defense, so it's not a surprise to me that they
No.
have done. And the special teamer of the week, not a kicker, it's not a putter, it's a return man. It's Ty Johnson, a junior from Waterford, Wisconsin. He plays for Winona State. He averaged better than 30 yards per punt return. He had 5 of them, including a 64-yarder to the house in the Warriors' 31-28 upset victory over Bemidji. Our congratulations out to Gunnar Hensley, Cade Leinot, and Ty Johnson, the POWs in the NSIC.
Some of the winners I picked this last week, Tom. Do you see that?
Yeah, I see that.
Just pointing that out.
Yeah, talk about that later, man. Jeez. Talk about pouring salt in the wounds. Come on.
Just trying to point out something there.
The recap begins this week with that showdown of ranked squads. Augustana at Mankato, where the Vikings won their 3rd straight in the series, a decisive 34-16 win. They take over sole possession of first place in the Northern Sun standings.
This is the part where I hit the video?
Yeah, hit the video, Warner Wolf.
Okay. Here we go. First quarter, Augustana marching right away. Going to go ahead and see Isaiah Huber, a guy who I think is a underrated star for them. Really coming on. He does a little everything for him. Scores right there. 4th and 1 here. Mankato is not going to get it right there, Tom. And Augustana, despite the fact at halftime they were down 9-7, and by the way, great post route here, bottom of the screen in the slot here. It just does a really nice job of getting separation. That's Grant Guyette. Nice route. But I thought Augie was the better team in the first half here. But they do throw a pick. And, Tom, it looks like this thing's going to go for a pick 6. And that aforementioned Gunnar Hensley decides that's not how that's going to turn out. And rides this guy out of bounds. Got a little bit of an RPO here. Canyon Bauer gets loose. Mankato can't get to it, and it's kind of at this point where Augie started to take over. 4th and 3, Tom, and the Mavs are going to go ahead and try and hit a quick one at the top of the screen. Got a little receiver goes down, and right there, we're off to the races. Cade Line racing. The momentum changed right there. Epperson goes ahead and scores, just kind of squeaks through. And they're kind of a little bit off to the races in this one. And Epperson ends up scoring again here in just a moment. And Augustana, in the 3rd quarter, really took over this football game. Really kind of bowled their necks when they needed to on some big 4th down plays. And, Todd Hoffner mentioned that in the post game. He said, we lost to them twice last year decisively, and it felt like there was a fair amount of separation between the teams. And he said, we haven't quite made up that distance yet. And it was obvious there. And I thought the Vikings played extremely well on the road here, though.
Yeah, they got a big win and move up in the D2Football.com top 25, which we'll highlight a little bit later in the show. We've got a guest, as usual, and it's a man we visited with last season. It's the coach of the league leading and the defending champion, NSIC champs, that is. That's the Augustana Vikings. Augie's Jerry Olszewski. And Jerry, welcome back to NSIC Weekly. Great to have you here.
Thanks, fellas. And as always, thanks for what you guys do, not only for our league in all of our schools, but for college football and D2 overall. It's awesome. I love queuing in and your takes on it. By the way, Tom, before we go any further, I appreciate the Packer reference, number 1. And number 2, he's just sour because his Bears should have won.
I thought we agreed we weren't going to even bring that up, Coach. What happened? I just
wanted to shoot flies because I know how you guys play.
Oh, man.
Congrats on the win yesterday and the fine season thus far. You guys have got Mankato's number. That's 3 wins the last 2 years. What's been the secret to the success against Mankato and specifically, I guess, Saturday's 34-16 win?
Well, first of all, they had our number for a very, very long time, and we weren't the only ones. It's a well-coached team. They have great athletes. They have a lot of things going for them in a lot of great ways. I think when you look at it, we always look at how do we match up against teams, and sometimes it's a little more challenge here, a little more challenge there, and as of late, at least, we felt like we matched up okay. That we were in a good position across the board, both sides of the ball, and that's really what it comes down to. Then you expect your players to make plays. You put them in a position to be successful, and as you mentioned, Isaiah Hubert, when you talked about him, he's a pretty good player, and when guys like that we think we can get the ball in space and they can make a play. Canyon made a nice play. Jared, he's explosive, and Gunner's really coming along. And then Jack Fisher has just been a really, really great player throughout his career, but this year especially. We knew we'd have a good defense coming back, and I knew offensively Mankato had a lot coming back. 4 of their 5 offensive linemen. I think they have 7 starters on defense. And 9 on offense coming back. We knew that, but I felt like the matchups were good, and that if we played within ourselves, we'd have an opportunity to walk out of there with a win.
One of the huge offensive factors for you this year, you're 6-2 overall, you're 6-1 in the Division II category. It's the quarterback play of Gunnar Hensley. Now, this is a young man who comes from California. First of all, where'd you find him? He's completing 70% of his throws, averaging at about 265 yards a game of total offense. How did you convince him to come here? And describe his talents for us. What does he bring to the table for your offense?
Yeah, we recruit the whole nation. We don't have a lot of players out of California, but we certainly recruit it. I think we have 17 states on our roster now, and it's just we had to do it. And we had to expand our region to be able to get some players. A friend of our program, a guy that I trust and respect and have coached with before, told me about him. And then one of our coaches had good connections out there, and we just started a phone conversation. And Gunnar comes from a great family. His dad played at Washington University in St. Charles, Missouri, or in St. Louis, Missouri. Gunnar's he's a baller. He's just an old school football player. He's got great confidence in himself. Really, one of the reasons we got to him is he played behind a Division I quarterback and then broke his foot right after that. COVID started to get going. He came out of that COVID time just shortly after that, and then broke his foot and didn't play his senior year. But he brings a lot to the table. He's got pinpoint accuracy, really understands the game. And as he's growing in our offense, I think Coach Powell has done a tremendous job of including him in conversation about what do you like, what are you seeing on film. And I think that's valuable. Anytime you have a quarterback OC relationship like that, I think that's a huge part of success. And he's playing older than his years, though he's made some young mistakes and had made one this weekend on the red zone touchdown or red zone interception. We're going to get some of that, but he's limiting those, and certainly the good play is far worse than the few mistakes that he's making.
Coach, I got a funny story here for you. So we ended up, going to your game at South Dakota State, and come walking on up, and one of your players happens to turn and look our way, and amongst all us kind of nerds at Division II, we actually have a D2 fantasy league nationally. Well, this guy right here turns and looks at me and goes like this, as if to say, you drafted me in the 7th round. He not only did he know, but Coach, when I stopped out for the Winona game, as I'm walking past the goalpost and you guys are warming up, he comes over, shakes my hand and said, I got you 20 points last week. Coach, this guy has got so much charisma.
Yeah.
And he's now obviously, your leading rusher. Tell us, everybody knows who he is in this league. Tell us a little bit about him coming back to you guys. Whereas, this wasn't something we expected. Heck, by the time we did our preview, I don't even know if it was news at that point.
Yeah, he was prepping for pro day, and there was a clerical error about his medical red shirt. He played in the first series of the 4th game, but he didn't play past the 4th game, so it was a no-brainer. once the paperwork went in and everything, but we didn't find it out until our golf tournament that there was no denial. It's just the paperwork never went to the office. So super, super excited that we got the news. And then this speaks about Jared. He was concerned because he was training to play at another level, and he was concerned of what it would mean to the team if he came back. And I think that's the biggest thing I can share about that young man. He goes, Coach, they've already moved on, the Max and Rashad and Bubba, I just don't know how the team. I said, believe me, the team is going to be excited as all get out for you, and so am I. He talked to his parents and called me back about 2 hours later and said, let's go do this. And he's just we kind of slowed into him this year. We didn't want to overrun him and give him too many pounds and too many reps. And then he gets a concussion against South Dakota State, and that took him out for a game. And but lately he's been ramping up to a few more carries. Certainly the productivity is up. But as a person, he's one of the most competitive individuals I've ever met. He's extremely passionate, but he's a great teammate. He loves this game, and he loves his teammates.
Coach, we haven't had a chance yet to talk about what I talk about with you guys weekly, which is I think that you guys have the best defense in this league. And, I got some of the guys on the screen here, that have a huge impact, Mr. Buckley, Mr. Farr. And tell us a little bit about why you guys are able to have the kind of success you've had last year defensively and now going into this year with a lot of those same guys.
Yeah, well, it all starts with defense. You can't win many games and when you're not scoring. And I just think that we've done a better job in recruiting. I think we've gotten a higher caliber of player, and we're just got more depth now, guys. We're better in our depth, and we roll our depth. We'll play upwards of 28 players a game defensively. And that's been a key to us staying healthy. It's been a key to us growing talent so that the first play they come in isn't a critical situation in a critical ball game. But you're looking at two guys right there that, when we got Peyton, when St. Cloud dropped the program, I never had a sniff at him the first time because Parker, his brother, was already at St. Cloud.
Sure.
So he just went to go play with his brother. His dad, JR, was a phenomenal linebacker at Minnesota State Mankato. And I knew the dad, and JR was a high school coach in Rice Lake, so I knew the boys. But Peyton is as complete a player, and I'm biased. I'm so biased. We've had some great players in this league, but he is as complete a player as I've seen on the defensive side as far as playing high safety, boundary safety, the roll down. We put him at corner for a little spell when we got dinged up a whole bunch. He's just a really good football player, and as good as a football player is, he's even a better person. He's a leader in our post-game, our post-practice prayers. He got that thing started. He's working on his master's in education because he already got his undergraduate in teaching. So all the scouts are in. I think all but 2 teams have been in and looked at him, and I just pray he gets an opportunity to continue on. And then you look at Javion. Javion, as a young, we were just talking this morning, him and I, when he was 175-pound, not as fast as he is, developed young freshman out of Racine Case. Watching him grow into who he's become, not only as a football player, I think he's one of the better corners in our league as far as just playing the game. He's really smart about the game. He understands leverage. He understands what they're trying to do with splits. He understands quarterback posture. He's been a coach on the field just like Peyton, and has taken over that defensive back group of corners and coaching up our younger players. And then on campus, there's not a thing he's not involved in. I mean, he's on the President's Diversity Council. He's on this council. He's on this group. In fact, last year I told him, you got to water down a little bit. You're spreading yourself too thin. But he's such a dynamic personality, as you know, Witt. He's just an incredible human being. So it's great to have those. And you got the Hayden Wallaces and Will Davises and Cade Lynotts and, guys that have just dug in and played this thing here. It's a great group of guys.
Sure.
We've talked about it on the show, and we've alluded to it tonight as well, that we were at Brookings September 14th, watched you guys play. We were on the sideline. That's a different view for me. I'm usually on high. Don't get to see the game up close and personal. Very impressed with your guys that night, the way they played. The atmosphere it gave me goosebumps as a spectator on the field. What was it like for you guys to play there? And you lost. People thought you were going to lose, but it was a very competitive game. What kind of takeaways did you as a staff and then your guys take out of Brookings that night, knowing that you gave the defending FCS champions all that they could handle, really?
Yeah, it was a great night, Tom. It really was, for a lot of reasons. And going with your third and fourth string quarterback into that one was not the plan. I can promise you that. Those kids played hard. Miles Taylor, as the guy I didn't mention, is really one of the heartbeats of our team. Kind of set the tone a little bit. Like, you all can think what you want to think, but you need to go out here and ball out. And there's all the pressures on them and everything we talked about. I thought it helped us immensely in our season for several reasons. Number one, that's the second largest crowd in their history. And it affected us on that turnover right away. We couldn't hear the snap count. And believe me, we cranked the volume on our speakers during practice all week long. And I think the moment just got to us a little bit and had to settle for a field goal right out of the chute. But I think that what they came away with, our players, in fact, I know, was a confidence in what we're doing, who we're doing it with, and just enjoy the game. Just go play ball. It doesn't matter who you're playing, where you're playing them, or what time it is. You get to play this game. And we wanted to take the crowd out of it, and I thought we did in the second and third quarter, certainly in the fourth. It was a big thing for us to make them play their starters through the game, which we did. And it was big for us just to understand if we're going to take the steps forward as a program that we want to take, we can't go there and lay down. You can't go there and just be at a ball game. You got to be in the ball game. And Coach Rogers and his staff do such a great job. They really are great coaches, and they have tremendous talent. We walked away with some injuries a little bit, but not nearly as many as I was worried about going into it, and I thought it was a great experience.
On the defensive side of the ball that night, you gave Gronowski fits. He was off his game, and you I would say corralled the running game quite well, I thought, and I'm very impressed with you. But then 2 weeks later, you go to Moorhead, and I'm shocked. You're in a shootout with the Dragons, 43-41. What happened that particular day?
Yeah, well, we didn't stop them. That's one thing. Usually you go into a game and you think 41 is, should be a decent standard. At least it has been for us. Some things went our way in that game, and a lot of it didn't. The ball didn't bounce our way in a couple scenarios. And Jack Strand's a great player, and if you don't get him off his platform, he didn't miss throws. I watch him in these other games on some of them, and they miss a throw or two. They don't drop many balls, but they were just playing really well. It's not like we played bad. They played really well, and we didn't play well enough. With that said, we throw a pick at the 4-minute mark, we're up, and we throw a pick on a short field and allow them to take the lead. So some key miscues at critical times hurt us. And even in the last drive, if we come down with that catch, it went through, tip ball was high, but it was through our hands. We're 6 yards away from a very comfortable field goal to win the game ourselves. And that's, again, in a season, guys, you look at all the things that happen. A loss is a loss, and you never want it. But in a game like that, we had the opportunity to win. We didn't take the opportunity to win, but you learn a lot about yourself. And I said that we've been through everything to this point. We've been in shootouts. We've been in low-scoring games. We've been in last-second games against UMD. We've been in some ones where we ran away from them, big crowds and everything else. Night game, there's not a single thing this team hasn't seen, and that's a good thing at this point in the season to grow from.
Coach, I'm going to go ahead and play a video here real briefly. Right after your contest with Mankato, longtime fellow coach Kelly Skolton chatted a little bit with your squad. And look at Tom. You see the way he put on the readers like I would do. I like that, Coach. I like that move. Let's go ahead and watch this, and I'll come back to you for kind of some of your thoughts.
The all-time winningest coach at Augustana University, Coach O'Day!
We've you've had some time now, ride back and everything else, to kind of think a little bit about how things have gone in this stretch that you've had, Coach. Heck of a moment there with you and your club. I mean, talk about memories. On your ride back, you had about 3 hours to kind of think about all of this. Retrospectively, what kind of goes into your mind about, hey, this is where I'm at with this program? Not only had the big wins of a game like Mankato, but now being the all-time leading, wins coach in Augustana history. Kind of what were some of your thoughts on the way back?
Just humble and thankful and grateful, to be honest with you. I've had some amazing coaches. I've had some amazing players. I have an amazing family. And it's just, yeah, I told the players after the game, once it was all done, I'm like, guys, as you grow older, you'll realize there's certain moments in your life that you'd like to forget. And there's some that you hold dearly to. Your wedding day and your child being born, there's certain things. I said, thank you for giving me one. With that said, Jim Heinens is just an incredible man, and I'm close to him. We just had lunch today. To be spoken in the same words as him is an honor in itself, to be very honest. And it's just one of those things in a career where it didn't start that fast for us here. We got up to some scholarships. We got some things rolling a little bit. We created a culture. And now we're a better program than we were. But it took a while to get there. And yet I appreciate those moments back then, too, when we only won 4 games in a season. Those were tough sledding years for a minute or two on 2 of those. It's just it's neat. But you do this long enough. This is my 31st year of coaching and my 11th at Augie. You're just grateful for the memories that you make, and we got more to make now.
I got one last question, Jerry, before we let you go. Just before the season started, a good friend of mine, I've known him since the 70s, Jeff Filling, announced that he was not going to, he was on an interim basis, at least 1 year, step away from calling the games because of health issues. I communicated with him a couple weeks ago when Sid Kortemeyer died, because he knew Sid from way back as well. Can you give us an update on how Jeff is doing physically after a bone marrow transplant?
Yeah. Thanks for asking, Tom. And I really do. I mean, I appreciate it. Jeff is obviously near and dear to our program, but just you guys have such a cool fraternity of announcers that are out there, win or lose. That's just an awesome thing. Jeff's doing well. He's in a tough phase right now, going through his chemo treatments. He's at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota. He's actually got through the first phase now, so these are some days that are really grinding on him. He's got a low immunity system right now, so he needs to stay away from everything. But every day he's right on pace. His brother Bob Filling has done a tremendous job of sharing information with me and Jeff. Text after the games and text midweek. We call it, talk a little bit. He's fighting, and I know Jeff. And when I say he's fighting, he's winning. As competitive as he is, but he's got such a sense of humor, as you know. He's so intelligent, and he's really a dear friend to our program and loved by so many, and he's fighting and he's winning. So we'll see. This next 4 or 5 days are going to be really big, and then the next 13 are really powerful days to see where the next steps are going to go. But thank you for asking, Tom. Jeff appreciates the prayers. If anybody's sending them out there, our entire team prays for him after practice because he meant that much to these kids and all the former alumni that went through the program too. So thanks for the question and the thoughts.
Sure hope to have him back in the booth next fall.
Absolutely.
The voice.
Our thanks to Augustana coach Jerry Olszewski, the school's leader in wins with 80. Jerry, I've been around long enough to remember a good chunk of your predecessors. When I was a kid, it was Jim Malmquist, and then it morphed into Ralph Starenko and Joe Swisher when I was a teenager. And then it was radar defense, Lyle Eisness in the late 70s. And then when I was in college, Denny Moeller, Heine a couple of times in there, Brad Salem, and Mike Aldrich, and you. And my hat's off to you. You've got more wins than any of those guys. Congratulations to you, and keep on chugging along.
Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it very much. Appreciate what you guys do. It's been an honor.
Thank you, Coach.
See you in a
great
couple
night.
weeks. November 9th, Key to the City.
Yes, sir. See you
All
there.
right. See you
See you
there.
then, Coach.
All right. Always a good time with Coach OJ.
Absolutely. Love it when the coaches make time for us like this. Everyone wants to hear from them, so it's a kind of a win-win for us across the board there, buddy.
Continue with the recap, shall we? Move right along here.
There we go.
Here's my game. It was the 4th straight victory for the University of Sioux Falls down at Wayne, America. The defense carried the day, as I mentioned in our earlier segment with all the photos of the guys who are our post-game guests. They forced 4 turnovers and stymied the Wildcat offense at nearly every turn. They gave up a first quarter touchdown and one with 2 minutes to go in the game. That was it.
Tom, I was really, I picked Wayne State, and I'll wear that here because I know that there was some Cougar folks who were giving me a hard time about it. I'm going to pick who I think is going to win, and if the other team wins, there's a coin flip chance of that. So, as we're looking at this, I said last week that my fear with USF was going to be, can they stop the big play that Wayne State has? Well, Wayne State hit one in the first half, and I thought, okay, this is what I was talking about. That was the only play of that sort. And Sioux Falls was able to get after the quarterback a little bit, go ahead and kind of force him into some things, and not really allow the running game to get going. And Sioux Falls got off to a fast start. So, let's go ahead and watch a little bit of the video here, buddy. And you're going to go ahead and see Carter Slykehouse here gets in space and goes ahead and cuts it on up for a score.
What a move.
And yeah, exactly. And Cougar fans are pretty pleased with how that's going. Here's the long touchdown I mentioned, Latravius Boyd. If you give him a little bit of space, you're not going to catch him. That's how that works. And he's done that against a bunch of teams this year. Probably the biggest game breaker in the conference that way. We're a bullet here, from Carter there, or to Carter. And then they go ahead and they start picking off Bowen 3 times in this game. Now, we had talked coming into this, Tom. The reason I picked Wayne State was because they had 3 turnovers all year. Well, they had 3 in this game alone. Right there, Alex Maxim, D lineman, he gets hit between the 9 and the 7. Huge 4th down stop there for USF in a game of like a battle of field position the whole second half, Tom. I mean, what was the Sioux Falls? I mean, so Sioux Falls is up, 23-7 at half or whatever it was. And Sioux Falls was behind the 8 ball the whole second half, but was able to keep Wayne out of the end zone until almost garbage time. Wasn't that right?
Yeah, they started 3 offensive drives at their own 1-yard line and at least 2 others inside the 11, if I'm not mistaken. Couldn't get any offense going whatsoever, but they won the battle of field position, where the defense was able to keep Wayne out of the end zone despite losing the battle of field position. And memory serves me, I think they had 4 takeaways, if I'm not mistaken, but
okay.
Maybe I'm conflating that with another game, but they played very well defensively and made it an uncomfortable afternoon for Nick Bowen. That's for sure.
Yeah. And, this was a bit of a shocking halftime score, if we're going to be really honest. And then USF being able to go ahead and hold them out as much as they did until it was kind of too late. Heck of an effort by the Sioux Falls defense. And, Wayne State, Carter Sitzman, huge game. You were calling his name a few times, obviously, from the booth with the performance he had defensively. But offensively, they weren't able to get some of those big weapons. Hogue didn't get much in that game, and they weren't able to really get much going in the passing game, until things were kind of already decided.
Yep, the swing pass to Boyd out of the backfield was about it. 75-yard play, and that was the only big play they allowed all day.
Now, I got a chance to tune in and listen to the first quarter of the game because unfortunately the Wayne stream wasn't up until the second quarter. By the time most of the a lot of the action had happened, if we're going to be really honest. But I was forced to listen to you and your radio crew. Aren't you going to have some snarky comment?
No, I'm just going to say we appreciate your patronage.
Yeah, and I've said it so many times, you guys do a fantastic job with things.
We wish you would listen more than you do, but I know you're just married to the stream.
Well, I'm a visual person. You're right.
Do you even own a radio? Did you know that was a radio next to that man in the photo there?
That's how old I was getting, having to listen to the game. Actually, that's me there.
You don't listen on a radio. You listen on an app on your phone, no doubt.
I can do that exactly.
Yeah. All right. Moving right along, sir. There's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Quite the comeback for Northern State, huh? Coming from 17 down, beat CSP in the final minute to win their 5th consecutive ball game.
Tom, I was watching some of this game while I was eating lunch today, and I was moving through it, and I thought to myself, how on earth did Concordia lose this game? 24-7 and just before half. And, last week, remember when I picked Concordia and they were up 14-0 early?
Yeah.
And I thought 2 weeks in a row, my guy Shannon Courier, bless his heart, because, I mean, to have 2 games go south like that. And remember, I talked about how I thought Northern State would do a good job defending Jalen Richardson. Yeah. 3 touchdowns and 140 yards later. But who really ran the football well was Northern State. Northern State ran the football for almost 300 yards on the ground. And, you watch Daniel Britt, I'm watching it. I'm kind of joking around about here's the plan of the play. Go back and pretend like you're going to pass, and then just run around and go ahead and find an opening and get 20 yards. Because he does that really well. I'm going to say that, watching him run. Towards the end of that football game, he had some nice big runs for them. And Block and Kraft both went for 100 yards, ended up having a total of 2 scores. Tom, this is becoming a team that's becoming a strong rushing football team that plays decent defense. Now, I know that decent defense had been a little bit more decent the last few weeks, because right here, they struggled to keep Concordia down. And Jackson Compton, I think, is probably the answer for them at quarterback. I think he does a nice job overall. It's too bad they don't have a few more years left in Jalen Richardson.
You neglected to mention, you've got it on the screen there, but what a great game again for Jake Adams. Another 16 tackles for that middle linebacker for Northern State. Wow.
That's kind of becoming the normal thing for him, so I don't even talk about it anymore.
Well, way to go, Wolves.
I know it.
Kyle
and by the way, no curse, right?
No curse. Coach Schmidt was our guest last week. His team wins the following week. We had Glow on a couple weeks ago.
And
His
Hoffner
team won the following week. We had Hoffner. His team won the following week, though they lost the second week after that.
Coaches are going to start wanting to come on this show.
They've reversed
because of that. Yeah.
Yes. Your phone's going to be blowing up with people wanting on.
There you go.
Kyle Walljasper back at the controls for Duluth, and much needed. They righted the ship a little bit. He was instrumental as the Bulldogs got back on the winning track, downing Minot State at home.
Yeah, Alex Riley with over 100 yards rushing for him, 3 scores. He's kind of taken the reins a little bit there for him. The Minot offense is starting to plateau a little bit. They're having trouble moving the chains. I think they did like 12 times in this game. And it's almost like some of the Northern Sun is starting to figure this out a little bit more. They're having to throw the ball more frequently, as you can see there. Carson Crispin, 4 of 15. They're not trying to have him throw the ball 15 times a game if they're really playing the style that they really want. So, let's be honest. This is a really tough section of the schedule that they have right now. No way around it.
Yeah, Minot State really struggling now. They've dropped 5 consecutive ball games since Ian Shields was our guest back in early September. Well, the long fall continues for Southwest Minnesota State University, the Mustangs. In this game, Witt, they gave up on the season their 8th pick 6.
Ooh.
8th pick 6 to an opponent. Big loss at Moorhead. Ouch.
Yeah, and Moorhead getting to the quarterback 9 times. And, Jack Strand didn't really have to, when he only has to throw the ball 24 times, that's a little bit of an indication of the things are going smooth for them. And, not much more to see here at that point.
He didn't even have to ice his arm after the game. No Jonathan Flottmeyer for Winona, but no problem. Cole Stenstrom back at the controls of the WSU offense, and he guided them to, in my mind, upset victory at home over Bemidji.
That's just another one that I called it. You bet. I was pretty pleased with myself in that game, I thought I might say. But
how about some humility? Humility, man.
No, that's not to be found on this show. But, I said last week, I thought Winona was better than their outcome against Augustana a week ago. And they play well at home. So, there you have it. But Bemidji just isn't, something's not quite there for them right here and now. I thought they were going to end up being a better team than they frankly have been.
Well, that's the recap of the NSIC. Boy, what some shuffling, some major league. What were there 7, 8 teams in the top 25 last week that hit the schnitz?
I think there was 7. And, with that, you and I have kind of talked about as the year continues, we've got so much data now in this year that we're looking at to reward the teams who have got the biggest wins and things like that. And as a result, we end up moving Pitt State to number 1 with Grand Valley losing and Ferris State to 2. And Valdosta State, even though they're undefeated and we're ready to kind of take the 1 spot, they haven't beaten anybody in the top 50. So it's their tough part of their schedule comes up late. And, it's a matter of rewarding the teams who have done the best so far. And notice, along with this, we have Augustana up at 14. We have Mankato at 18. And Sioux Falls enters the chat at 24.
Wow. Huh. First time they've been ranked since, I believe, 17 or 19, one or the other. It's been a while.
Fair enough.
Congratulations to Coach Glow and the boys for moving into the top 25. They're off this week. So hopefully they stay in the top 25. Here at the NSIC Weekly Podcast, we love our chicken and we love our pizza. And that just dovetails nicely because we've got an enterprise that sells both chicken and pizza as our sponsor. That's Bosses.
That's right. And we have, right now they're going through a little bit of a Halloween special on their app. So we wanted to kind of mention that. But they also have a new location that they're opening up on the west part of Minneapolis area. And just kind of want to mention this could be you for those who are, potentially interested in opening a location or anything like that. That's a real thing for people who might want to open up their own Bosses. And we still have spots where people are looking to go ahead and find something here with Iowa and Nebraska. And, you could go ahead and maybe we'd even bring you on the show if you opened up your own place.
Don't ask me to formulate any questions for the new franchisee. That's all your ball.
Fair enough.
There, buddy. All right. I smell playoffs. Playoffs.
I know.
Playoffs are in the air. That's right.
Is that wild or what?
Just 3 weeks left in the regular season. Playoff field's going to be announced November 17th. The first regional rankings out today, but don't get too excited. Just cosmetic at this point, right, big man?
Yeah, you know what? This is just an alphabetized list of the 10. I went ahead and kind of did my own 10 based upon the selection criteria earlier today, and I did land on the same 10. But if I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't alphabetize them. So let's go ahead and let's look at what I have here. And this is kind of my worksheet. Now, I've got circled in red a few areas that I may speak to in greater detail, but essentially, Tom, here is what I have on the left side as the 10, and that's the order that I have them in according to the selection criteria and in the way I interpret it. Keep in mind, I do this each year, so this isn't a brand new thing. But as we look at this a little further, some things I want to mention are things such as Western Colorado, for example, is the only, unbeaten team in the overall, Super Region 4. And with that said, they're in the top spot. Now, they have a lower strength of schedule, SOS, but with that, they're still looking the best right now. Augustana, there's a new criteria, Tom, called KPI, and in this new criteria, they are actually number 1 in that criteria in the light blue on the right. And we'll go into this in more detail when we really have to kind of dig into it when they start publishing the numbers. But Augustana is very, very close to that 1 because of the fact that they have a better strength of schedule than Western Colorado, and they just have the 1 setback. Some of the things that Northern Sun fans will notice.
Hold it.
Yeah.
In the record column, they actually have 2 setbacks, but they don't have to count the one to South Dakota State.
No, yeah, that's a fair point. These are only Division II results. Okay. So, you don't get hurt if you play an NAIA or an FCS. It just doesn't count at all one way or the other.
Got it.
So as we're looking here, some may say, well, how is Minnesota State with 2 losses 5th and Sioux Falls 6th?
That was before.
Yeah. The strength of schedule for Minnesota State is quite a bit higher than Sioux Falls, and then if you continue left to right, any of those new matrices, that KPI in the blue, once again, quite a bit higher. Sioux Falls, if they were considered almost even with Mankato in the numbers, then they would get the nod based on the head-to-head win. So that's kind of how they'll apply that head-to-head, is if they think teams are basically even or so. Now, that said, there's so much more football left to be played here to kind of see this all through. But right now, those are the teams that we would be looking at. You notice Wayne State is on the 11 line. They don't have as good a strength of schedule as some of the other teams we've just mentioned. And they're 0-2 against teams with a 500 or better record. Then down from there, you have Northern State with 3 losses, Bemidji with 3 losses. Now, I'm not going to rule out, Tom, the idea that 3 losses is getting you out of the mix. But you're going to have more of those 2-loss teams that we're looking at, notch a 3rd loss to entertain the idea of somebody being in the top 7, which are the playoff teams, top 7. You're going to have some of those teams losing games for a 3-loss team to get in.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
A hick from the sticks here. What's KPI and PI represent? What's the matrices there?
Yeah, let's go ahead, and I've got another one of our graphics that's going to show that. So if we go ahead and take a look at the selection criteria right here, and this is literally right from the NCAA guidebook here. The yellow area up top is the primary selection criteria. You take your team's winning percentage, you add that to your strength of schedule number, and you come up with like a composite number, and that's how good you are. Okay? Then you move down the page a little bit more, and that orange that's outlined, the next biggest thing that we see being utilized is going to be how good are you against other good teams? And that's how good are you against 500 or better? Well, the brand new thing that came in is this Kevin Pauga index, okay? Some people might think that's key performance indicators, not in this case. And in this, what it talks about here is that, essentially you get a certain amount of points for each win or loss, anywhere between 1.0 down to negative 1.0. And adjustments are made to that value based on the location of the game, the quality of the opponent, and the percentage of total points scored. You know what that sounds like? Margin of victory a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, this is what I'm going to call a secondary criteria, Tom, that is realistically, we don't know how this is going to be applied yet because this is the first time for this KPI. Okay. The performance indicator, which is very similar to this, is not utilized very much in the last few years as a newer item. So I'm not getting overly excited about it one way or the other, thinking this is going to become a real big deal. I think it's still going to be all about what's up there in yellow and then what's in the orange meaning how do you do against other good teams?
Kevin Paga has a website, compilation of data analytics, algorithms, and analysis. He's an assistant athletic director at Michigan State University. Huh.
Yes, he is.
Never heard of him. But I
Fair
learned
enough.
something new today. Thank you. Appreciate
Yes. Yep. So this is kind of our before things get crazy. This is what's kind of the nuts and bolts of this whole system.
it. Done for.
Let's go ahead and
Do we
speaking
have to?
speaking of good stuff.
Do we have to? This pick'em segment is getting downright embarrassing, man.
You know what?
Last week, but it lost another game in the standings to you. I'm declaring the final week of the regular season wild card weekend. Just like Major League Baseball, you have a wild card playoff game. The Dodgers, many years, were the best team in the National League, but they lost in the first round of the playoffs because, for whatever reason, winning 101 games means nothing. Let's say you win the pennant here by 7 games after week 11. I think we're declaring wild card weekend, so whoever has the best record that final weekend wins the pick'em segment. What do you think?
I think I like winning this each week.
Yeah.
But actually, you beat me last week, so I can't chirp too much.
There's Mr. Humble coming through again.
No need for that. But well, let's go ahead and kind of flip on over, take a look at the standings in the league, and what are some of the things that jumps out to you other than the top 2 teams are both in Sioux Falls?
Yeah, and they'll be playing November 9th. Augie, sole possession of first place now. Sioux Falls, half game back. Mankato, Wayne, a full game off in the standings. Northern coming on hard around the bend. They've won 5 in a row. Bemidji slipping. Moorhead improving. Winona up above 500. Duluth still scratching and clawing, trying to get back to 500 in the league. Minot again on the downswing, as we mentioned. They've dropped 5 in a row. Concordia just can't figure them. That's a decent team, but just hasn't translated to wins. And of course, you've got Marion Southwest, and that's a feature game this week. Witt, we should have done a tail of the tape for that one.
That might be the toughest one of the group for us to pick. We'll have to see here.
All right, let's preview the weekend, should we? And we'll get started with that barn burner in Marshall, 11 o'clock Saturday morning. 0-7 Mary in league play. They've got 1 win. That was a non-conference game to open the year against Valley City. Against winless 0-8 Southwest Minnesota State. The Marauders favored by the Massey Computer folks by 3.5. My head tells me the North Dakotans, but who do you got? Because I'm going with the other team. I got to make up some ground here in the standings.
Well, you know what? Since I have some extra ground here, and I really want to see the Mustangs scratch a win. They're playing at home. It's an 11 o'clock a.m. kick, apparently, unless that's a misprint. And that can't be easy for the traveling team. So I'm going to take these peripheral things here.
Why is it going to be difficult for the traveling team? They arrive the day before. They'll get a good night's sleep.
Yeah, okay. How good are they going to get when they got to be up early and the whole deal at a new place? I'm taking here. I'm taking the Mustangs to find a way. Coach Underwood, I'm talking to you. This is the time. I'm picking you right here, buddy. Let's see what you got.
I'm going with Mary. Okay.
Mr. Contrarian all of a sudden now.
UMD is in Winona. Bulldogs, the Road Dogs, favored by 3.5. I want to see who you're picking.
I'm staying hot on the Warrior bandwagon. Maxwell's going to be rocking, and the Warriors are going to do me right for another one. I got him in Moorhead. I took him against Bemidji. Going to take him here against Duluth. Let's go, Warriors.
I'll go with Wall Jasper and Company. We differ there.
I know. I'm giving you the 2 favorites here, no less.
CSP at Augustana. Massey says the Vikings are favored by 30. Now, Augustana is going to win, but I've seen Concordia. I don't think they get blown out Kirkby over Stadium. Not
Man, I tell you right now, if Concordia wins, that soundbite of you, Augustana's going to win. That will be on a reel. But I don't like the 30 number, of course. I don't know. I think that's a big number, but I think Concordia, is going to be away from home. They just lost 2 games that they probably feel like they really should have had. And let's be honest, they probably should have. This is a real tough one to have to rebound and get things right at Augie. Augie defends the run better than anybody in the conference. This is a bad matchup for Concordia. I like Augustana.
All right. It took a while for you to spit that out. Wayne State travels to Bemidji. The Beavers. 3.5 seems to be the default choice here today. The Beavers are the 3.5-point pick according to Massey. Who you got? Because I'm going the other direction.
Well, I picked it last night on our national show, so I'm sure you already know.
No, I don't know.
That was my way of jabbing at you there.
I know. I figured as much.
I didn't really like what I saw from Wayne State this weekend, and I picked them no less. Bemidji State, it feels to me like Coach Bolte's going to have them right, being ready to play physical. I like Bemidji State in this contest.
All right, I'm going with Wayne. Got to make some hay while the sun's shining.
Okay.
Moorhead is at Minot. Dragons by 6.5 according to Massey. And again, my pick depends on yours.
I'll be honest, I haven't given this a lick of thought until it just came up on the screen. Moorhead at Minot. Ooh, I think it's going to be a really tough game. I think that Moorhead wins a shootout. Give me a 45-40 kind of game. I'll take Moorhead.
Well, I'll go with Minot.
Okay.
I just can't trust Moorhead. I mean, I've picked them so many times and they've let me down.
Understood.
Now, what's that?
Understood.
Okay. Mankato at Northern in our final game this week. The Mavs are favored by 10.5. I'm going to go first here. I'm going to say the Wolves win their 6th in a row.
Mike Schmidt, he's talking to you. What's funny is we talked to Coach about that. This could be a real big game. Man, if they can't have that place rocking for this one, I tell you. I think this is a real dangerous spot for Coach Hoffner and his crew. I have to take Mankato because I think they're the better football team. But they're kind of reeling a little bit. What if they lost 2 of their last 3, it feels like?
Yeah.
And I just Northern's wants to be able to run the ball. I don't think Mankato's going to allow that. This feels like a low-scoring game. I'm taking the Mavs, but I'm not feeling great about it. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if Northern State won that at all.
Cover your butt. Way to cover your butt.
I can't be honest. What are we doing here?
6 games. We had 1 common winner.
Well, you could take Concordia if you really want to, go for that.
Nope. I got to go with what my brain tells me in that one.
Just can't go against the guest. I understand. Yep.
And now another version of the groan-inducing segment called NSIC Jeopardy.
I actually had somebody tell me they really enjoy this segment and they tune in for it.
Was it your mom?
No. She has said before he needs to get a haircut. That's a separate thing altogether.
I told you I got a haircut.
And just so people can get in the mood, I'm going to be bringing up the slides here in a moment. Give me a second for our visuals. Okay, that'll be enough. Okay, so we have got this all ready to go. I think this is an interesting mix. I feel like you should do good on this one. Words that I don't normally say as you start off.
Have at me. I'm ready for my 40 lashes here.
Long-time starter for Minot State. Tom, just to give you a point of reference, when the Cougars came into the Northern Sun, this guy was the starter for Minot, and he was for years. Went through some injuries, and the That's as much as I'm going to tell you right now.
Hi-yo, Zach Cunha.
We're going to need to turn up the volume on that, apparently. Good start. I felt, I'm almost like cheering you on. Okay, that might be a little strong. Let's go ahead and see who the next one is. The best running back at Upper Iowa in the history of the Peacocks, to my mind. Mid 2000, I don't know, 14, 15, 16, that range.
Yeah,
Ran for a whole lot of yards, might have even led the conference in rushing yards, something like that.
He ran for 200 plus against USF one year. I got his first name, but I need the initial for the last name. His first name is Chris.
Last name begins with an S.
Chris Smith. Hi-yo.
Let's do that again, apparently. This is new territory for you. We have started off 2 correct, 0 wrong. Normally, you're digging yourself out of a hole by this point. Let's see what we have next. Maybe we got to go a little more deep cut. Well, no, we're going to put the ball in the tee for you, see how you do. Quarterback from Winona, mid-teens, during that stretch where the Northern Sun had a whole lot of really good quarterbacks. If you don't get this one right, people in Winona will come get you.
Jack Nelson.
I don't know what this bit, if I have to hit that thing this many times, I'm just saying. So now let me mark this down, 3 right. Don't normally have to say that at any point. Okay, a little more of a deep cut here. Star defensive line, D tackle. I want to say he was about 5'11" in cleats. Mid-teens. I'm going to say about 5'11", 300 pounds. Moved really well, all-conference type player. Might even been on our All-American team.
Did he finish his career in Mankato or did he transfer?
He did.
He did what?
He played all his years there.
Okay. Initials, please. I need help with this one.
Okay. When we go down that, I think we go to half points when we go there. But
I
okay.
need some help.
Settle.
67 years old.
Settle down. ZD.
No idea.
Hold on. Get a certain satisfaction out of that.
When you got to wait for it, it just doesn't have the oomph.
Zach Dodge.
Okay.
That's all you had for that is okay.
I remember the name.
Don't have a clue. Okay, thanks. Okay, we're back to 3-1.
Oh man.
And the obligatory Cougar slide where I give you multiple players so you can normally get yourself back into the game, but now you have a chance to actually have a good week with this. So here's the Cougar slide.
Oh.
You need to put the glasses back on for this?
I got to wipe the tears from my eyes.
Okay.
Oh.
A quarterback on the right.
That's Carrie Santana.
Yep, that was the if you couldn't get that one.
Your kid's favorite player back in the day.
Yeah, I thought about bringing that picture out instead, but so you've gotten that right. Let's see if you can finish the climb. Who was the young wideout he's talking to?
That's a profile picture there. I mean, if I had a full facial look, what was his number? Do you know what the number is there?
Oh boy.
If it's 8, it was Josh Angulo. If it was higher than that, boy, I don't know.
So you can't tell just from that alone, right there.
From that side view, no, I cannot. But I'm guessing Angulo.
I believe that might have been one of his first starts with the Cougars.
He was a freshman back then because
yeah.
Anna was a little older.
His arms changed a little over time there.
Yeah. He was a workout.
Okay, so you got that one right. We're going to talk about a coach now. Northern State, their head coach, all the way up until that COVID window.
Tom Dosh.
My goodness, we have got 5 right, or we'll even call it 6 with the Cougar gimme.
The only one was Zach Dodge.
Okay, I think we're almost to the end here. So for those who are anxious for anticipation for Tom to fall on his face, he hasn't. I can only hit the buzzer so many times.
This thing over?
Longtime quarterback for Duluth. I think that he took them, I think, up to COVID. Maybe a year after. Yeah, I'll say 2021. Battled through injuries. Dual threat guy. This sounds like any UMD quarterback starter over the last 20 years. But
yeah, what was the initials here? Because it's the first one that comes to mind was earlier than this guy.
Yeah, it wasn't Drew Bauer.
No.
Wasn't Nate Ritchie or whatever, Ricky, who came in after him. Yeah. This would have been the next guy. Yeah. Oh, you mean the initials?
Yeah.
JL.
John.
Mm-hmm.
John.
Yeah, that you narrowed it down to the first name, most common. Okay. Could have been Jim, I guess, but yeah.
John. Nope, can't place it.
John Wilkes Booth. No. John Larson.
Okay, yeah. Nothing like a common last name like Larson that I couldn't pull out of my head.
Always remembers it after I give him the answer.
No, I don't remember him at all.
Well, once again, heck of a bit. You actually, how many did you get right in this one? This was
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of them.
Oofed.
Hannah and Angulo were a try, you know. And
You want to try an extra credit one?
Sure. You got one? Tee it up.
UMD. Superstar middle linebacker for them. I want to say he was Conference Defensive Player of the Year right around 2018-19. Middle linebacker.
I'm trying to figure out who that Cougar running back is there.
Well, since that's not the question, don't feel like you need to.
Grant something. Bazaner, maybe.
I'll give you his initials just for entertainment value. BB.
BB. Brent. Bo. Bill.
Bo Bates.
Bo Bates. Beau Bates.
Do you remember him?
Kind of.
Yeah, he was very good. Well, anyway, let's wrap this show on up, my friend.
We went about 8 minutes too long on this segment. That's all right.
No, that's okay.
Over for another week. Feel free to follow us on social media. I've tried to keep things free from politics on social media, but of late it's become.
Yeah, you don't do very well sidestepping that, but don't feel like you got to bring it onto the pod. Okay. But our fan of the week, I reached out to and didn't get all the needed info back from them for the fan of the week. So this is going to become a next week bit once again. We apologize for that, but
it'll be 3 T-shirts you've got to give out next week.
Now that we've got them in, right? Exactly. So as you were kind of referencing, here's some of our social thank yous, and we got some video there from KCAU, and that was some of that Wayne State highlights that we got. Obviously, the Northern Sun, network provides us with most of what we're getting, and we're not Sports Center, but we're doing what we can with that.
Well, I'm off for California this week, since we got a bye next weekend. I'm going to have to follow the NSIC through your tweets, I believe. I can actually watch the NSIC network.
Yeah, don't make it feel like I got to tweet the whole day on your behalf, but yes.
Are you going to a game anywhere?
I'll be real frank with you. I've got 2 shows tomorrow night. I'm not even thinking about the weekend just yet.
All right. One day at a time. We're all just day to day, as Bert Blyleven used to say.
Yes.
For Paul Horning, this is Jim Taylor saying, thank you so much for watching NSIC Weekly. Tom and Matt, adios.
It's been real.
Yeah.